The church were told just before noon, UTS sound showing through the DRY
Hop.
Arizona era police cruiser convergeait dont St. Gabriel S. Father Miguel stepped out, the relentless desert sun blazing against the church's white adobe walls. In an instant, officier sur Wounded him, rifle poised, tear shoot piercing the quay, Father Miguel Alvarez, you are under arrest for drug trafficking. Those words ripped through the tranquil morning. The priest froze, his atammering beneath his black cassock. Around him, parishioner gasped, grocery bag and rosary tumbling to the ground. He felt the cold steel of handcuff clenched on his wrist as dust swirled in the blinding light. Yet, amid the sudden chaos, he whispered, so softly that only heaven could hear, Holy Mother, if this is your will, give me strength. No one present, not even the arresting officer, could fathom how heaven was about to answer that plea. San Gabriel, Arizona, was little more than a handful of sun-baked streets clustered around that shimmering white church. To the north, an endless expanse of cactus and dust stretched to the horizon. To the south, just beyond low, rolling hills, les Mexico align where two worlds may, and often collided. For 15 years, Father Miguel Alvarez had served this stark, beautiful land. Born in Sonora, Mexico, he had crossed the border long ago, not in pursuit of wealth, but of soul. He spoke both English and Spanish with the same gentle warmth, a man whose deep eyes held both profound sorrow and unwavering peace. His parishioners adored him. Even those who didn't share his faith revered him. He fed the hungry, buried the forgotten, and offered solace to anyone who sought his door, regardless of their legal status. Every Sunday, the small church overflowed with farm workers, children, and weary faces who came not for theological debate, but for desperate hope. He was renowned for visiting migrant shelters, bringing vital food and medicine, and listening to stories others were too busy or too afraid to hear. Some local affectionately called him the Border Saint. But not everyone approved. Whisper had begun to circulate. Rumor claimed drug cartels were exploiting church donations to move money and contraband. Border Patrol agent had issued stark warning, watch your priest. Some are helping smuggler. And when a man of God stand too close to suffering, suspicion can cast a long, cold shadow. That fateful morning, Father Miguel had loaded his old pickup truck with provision box of food and medicine destined for a family of deported farm workers living just off a desolate desert road. He never noticed the black SUV trailing him, keeping UTS distance. I reached the family's small shack and began unloading supply, the roar of engines suddenly filled the valley. 3 police cars materialized in a cloud of dust. The rest unfolded in a blur, the shooting, the confusion, the meticulous search, and then, the devastating discovery. Hidden beneath sack of rice and canned goods were several professionally sealed packages, filled with a telltale white powder. Lead officer Daniel Reeves stared at the priest with an unwavering, ici suspicion. You're under arrest, he stated flatly. And where he can see them. The handcuffs snapped shut with a metallic click that seemed to echo against the very walls of the church. A few bystanders openly wept. Someone cried out, it's a mistake. He would never do that. But the officer remained deaf to their plea. As they escorted him to the patrol car, Father Miguel turned one last time toward the small statue of the Virgin Mary by the church gate. Her face, carved from pale stone, seemed almost alive in the harsh sunlight. He bowed his head slightly, just once, before disappearing behind the police door. And took the sunburn mercilessly overhead, a strange stillness settled over San Gabriel, as if heaven itself was holding UTS breath. The ride to the police station felt endless. Through the window, the Arizona desert stretched on, an ocean of gold and silence. Father Miguel sat in the back seat, wrist still cuffed, the bead of his rosary pressed firmly into his palm. He whispered prayer in Spanish, so softly that officer Daniel Reeves in the front seat could barely discern the murmur. At the San Gabriel Police Department, the midday sun sliced through the windows, illuminating the dusty floor. Reporter hadn't yet arrived, but word was already tearing through town, a priest coked with drug. To many, it was unthinkable. To others, it was grim proof that no one, not even a man of God, was truly above reproach. Officer Reeves led him through the booking area, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. A younger officer, visibly uneasy, whispered, "Yes a priest, sir. Are you sure this is right?" Reeves offered no reply. He was a man who trusted evidence, not word. And to him, the evidence was damningly clear. They emptied Father Miguel's pocket. No money, no ID, only his worn crucifix and a folded photo of the Virgin of Guadalupe. The younger officer hesitated. Should he log this, too? Reeves nodded. Everything. Miguel's voice, calm and steady, broke the silence. Be careful with her image, he said gently. She has been through many journeys. Reeves frowned. Save your sermon, padre. They placed him in a holding cell, a small, stark concrete box with a metal bench and a single, flickering light bulb. From somewhere down the corridor came the ragged shout of a man, another coughing violently. The heavy scent of sweat and disinfectant hung in the air. Yet, Miguel knelt. Even with handcuff beaten into his wrist, he prayed. He prayed for the officer, for his accusé, and even for the one who had planted the drug, because deep inside, he already knew he was being framed. Outside the cell, two officers spoke in a hushed tone. Reeves looked to sur one said. Think the padre really did it. The other shrugged. Doesn't matter. The DA has been itching to make an example of Someone. They love this. Hours bled into night. The sun dipped low, painting the small window orange, then grey. No lawyer arrived. No one from the parish came. It seems the entire town had fallen silent, waiting to see if the priest they once trusted would break. But inside that cell, something profound was stirring. Each whispered word of his prayer carried a strange peace. Even the other prisoners grew quiet, drawn by an unseen force. One man, drunk and trembling, whispered through the bar, "Hey, padre, pray for me too, will you?" Miguel looked up, smiled softly, and nodded. By nightfall, the entire holding area was really still. The guard couldn't explain it, but they felt it too an atmosphere that simply did not belong in a police station. It wasn't a fear. It was reverence. A Father Miguel closed his eyes, whispering, "Santa Maria, Madre de Dio, ruga por nosotros." A faint glow shimmered through the narrow window, as if the desert moon itself had decided to stand watch over a man wrongly accused. By midnight, the desert wind had grown colder. The lights inside the San Gabriel police station dimmed one by one, leaving only the flame of the ventilation and the steady tick of an all-wall clock. Father Miguel sat on the edge of the steel bench in his cell. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept. He simply held his rosary, the one the officer hadn't noticed tucked inside his sleeve when they took his belonging. Each bead felt like a heartbeat of hope. Across the hallway, a drunk named Eddie slumped against the bar, muttering to himself. When he noticed the priest praying, he scoffed, "Hey, padre, your God is not in here. This is the devil's house." Miguel offered no reply. He simply kept praying, eyes half closed, his Spanish whisper a soft, rhythmic cadence. The gentle sound of Ave Maria, le Nair de Gracia floated through the hallway, and something extraordinary began to unfold. The clamor, the cursing, the snoring, the restless shifting it all began to fade. One by one, the other amat fell silent, drawn to that whisper like moth to a fragile flame. Even the officer in the control room paused, wondering why the jive felt so profoundly different. A soft breeze drifted through the corridor, too no window was open. A guard looked up from his desk, uneasy. "You feel that?" he asked his partner. "Yea," the other replied, "Air conditionné, maybe. But it wasn't air. It carried a scent, fin but unmistakable, rose." Miguel's voice grew steady. He prayed not for himself, but for the soul around him. For those who have forgotten mercy, and for those who have been forgotten, he whispered. For this town, for this country divided by fear. Holy Mother, cover them with your mantle. The young guard, Officer Jimenez, stood at the end of the hallway, watching. E had grown up Catholic bu hadn't prayed in years. Something about the sight of the priest, still in ancuf yet so serene, tightened his throat. He stepped closer to the bar. Father, he said quietly. Do you really think she listen, even here? Miguel lifted his eyes. She listen most here, he said. In the place where no one else does. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the whisper of the rosary filled the silence, steady, calm, unbroken. Outside, thunder rumbled far over the desert plain. A storm was coming, took the weather forecast had promised a clear night. And just as the first fat raindrop tapped against the metal roof, Officer Reeves, the man who had arrested him, appeared, pale and sweating. He pressed down to his chest, grimacing. Call the paramedic, Someone shouted. He is going down. Reeves collapsed before anyone could reach him, the sound of his body hitting the floor echoing through the corridor. Father Miguel stood instantly, gripping the bar. What happened? At attack, a guard yelled, fumbling with his radio. He is not breathing. For the first time since his arrest, Miguel's voice rose, not in fear, but in clear command. Open this door now. The guard hesitated. We can't. Do you believe in God? Miguel said firmly. Then open it. The guard paused for only a second before keys rattled and the door swung open. The priest stepped out, rosary still in hand, the storm roaring outside. Something momentum was about to unfold inside that police station, something no one would ever forget. The hallway erupted in chaos. Officer rushed towards the fallen man as thunder cracked directly above the desert. Rain hammered the windows sharp, sudden, impossible. Arizona hadn't seen rain like this in months. Officer Daniel Reeves lay flat on the cold tile floor, his skin turning a ghastly grey, his chest rising once, then stopping. Someone frantically called for an ambulance. Another began chest compression, counting desperately, but her rhythm faltered. The panic was thick, suffocating like smoke. Father Miguel knelt beside them, still wearing his handcuff. Please move back, he said quietly. His voice was calm, but imbued with an authority, a profound peace, that compelled the other to obey. Reeves' eyes were open, glassy, fixed on the ceiling. The priest placed one trembling hand over Reeves' hat, and with the other, lifted his rosary, now glistening with raindrop blown in from the open door. Holy Mother, he whispered. He does not know you yet, but you know him. Intercede for this son of yours, that he may live to know mercy. The room fell silent. Even the storm outside seemed to hold its breath. A fin s'enfilait the air. Rose again, stronger this time. Officer Jimenez turned his head, startled. Do you smell that? No one answered. They all did. Miguel continued praying, his voice steady despite the trembling of his hand. He prayed the Hail Mary slowly, each word echoing in the hollow corridor. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. And then, the lights flickered. The overhead bulb dimmed until only one remained, casting a pale glow over the priest and the dying man. For a split second, a chimney appeared, faint, like it rising from asphalt. But this wasn't it. It was light. The officer froze. A gentle glow enveloped the two men blue, soft, alive. And within that glow, a form took shape. A woman draped in a mantle of deep turquoise. Her head bowed, and open. Her face radiated sorrow and tenderness, the kind that could break the hardest heart. The Virgin. The glow pulsed once, twice, then faded into silence. Reeves gasped. A violent, desperate gasp, like a man surfacing after nearly drowning. His hand jerked upward, clutching the priestess sleeve. Everyone stared. His pulse. It was back. He is breathing, one of the medics stammered. He is breathing. Miguel looked up, tears streaming down his face. Gracia, Madre Santissima, he whispered. Thank you. No one spoke. Some dropped to darkness. Other just stood frozen, unable to comprehend what they witnessed. A minute later, the paramedic arrived. But the miracle had already happened. Reeves' color had returned. His heartbeat was steady. He blinked, confused, his voice raspy. What? What happened? No one could answer, but one young officer, still trembling, whispered to another, it looked like Our Lady. Outside, the rain stopped abruptly at Beguin. Through the cracked window, a ray of moonlight sliced across the floor, right where the Virgin had stood moment before. The paramedics were speechless. They had walked into a police station expecting to pronounce a death, and instead found a man sitting up, breathing, tears rolling down his cheek. Officer Daniel Reeves blinked several times, his pupil adjusting to the light. He looked around slowly, at the face of his fellow officer, frozen in disbelief, at the priest still kneeling beside him, clasped in prayer. Father, he whispered, his voice barely audible. What? What did you do? Father Miguel shook his head. It wasn't him, he said softly. It was her. The sang of Rose still lingé, fin, but unmistakable. No one spoke. Even the air seemed sacred. Then the priest did something no one expected. He closed his eyes again and began to pray, not for Reeves this time, but for everyone in that room. Blessed Mother, he said, his voice low but steady, you have shown your mercy once again. Touch every heart that doubt, every soul burdened by fear. Remind us that no darkness is stronger than your son's light. The officer bowed their head, one by one, as if pulled by something greater than themselves. A few whispered, Amen. Others just stared, tears glistening in their eyes. The storm had passed outside, leaving the air cool and heavy with the smell of waters. Thunder rolled far in the distance, like a final amen from heaven itself. Officer Reeves, still pale but breathing steadily, reached for the priest's hand. He don't deserve this, he murmured. He arrested you. He called you a criminal. Miguel smiled faintly. None of us deserve grace, he replied. That is why it's called mercy. A long silence followed. Then Reeves whispered, he saw her. The room froze. She was standing right behind you, he said, his voice trembling. A woman in blue, her hand over me. He felt something warm, not burning, not pain, like being forgiven. The priest's eyes glistened. You saw what your heart needed to see. Late that night, when the chaos had subsided, one of the officers reviewed the surveillance footage from the hallway, desperately trying to make sense of what had happened. At first, it looked normal, Reeves collapsing, officer rushing in, the priest kneeling. But then, as the priest lifted his rosary, there it was, a soft shimmer in the air, a faint blue light forming the unmistakable shape of a woman standing between them. For a few breathtaking seconds, the brightness filled the entire frame before vanishing. The officer watched the clip again and again. Each time, they felt the same chill, a profound awe mixed with a primal fear. One of them finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. It looked like Our Lady of Guadalupe. No one argued. No one could. At dawn, Father Miguel was still awake, sitting quietly in the same chair, unfolded. Officer Reeves slept peacefully in the infirmary nearby. Outside, the desert sky turned a brilliant pink, and the first light of morning broke through the clouds. It touched the cross atop St. Gabriel's church across the street, the same church where, just 24 hours earlier, the priest had been led away in handcuffs. Now, that same sunlight poured through the bar of the station window and rested on the silver rosary in Miguel's hand. And in that light, it almost seemed to shine on its own. By the time the sun fully rose over San Gabriel, the entire police department was awake. No one spoke about it openly, yet every officer who had been there the night before carried the same uneasy silence, like witness to something sacred that defied. Lieutenant Foster, the station's oldest veteran, poured his third cup of coffee and stared at the monitor replaying the hallway camera feed. He had served in law enforcement for 30 years, seen people lie, fake, manipulate Bu had never witnessed anything like this. The footage was grainy, the lighting poor, but it was enough. There was no editing, no cut, no trick. It showed Officer Reeves collapsing, the ensuing chaos, the priest kneeling beside him, and then dead glow. It began à Hashime, fin à dust mote in sunlight. Then, frame by frame, it grew, a pale blue, expanding outward, enveloping both men in light. And for 3 seconds, a distinct shape appeared, unmistakably feminine, with a flowing vein and extended in blessing. Then the light faded. No one spoke. One young officer whispered, "Could it be a camera glitch?" Another replied, "Glitch don't smell like rose." They played it again, 10 times, 20. Each time, the same moment, the same profound silence afterward. Finally, Lieutenant Foster sighed and leaned back in his chair. "Boys," he said quietly, "you don't put that kind of light in a field report. You put it in your soul." Word spread like wildfire. By noon, the footage had reached the local news station, which declared it a possible miracle in San Gabriel. Within hours, national networks picked it up. Headline flashed across the internet, "Priest arrested for drug trafficking, video capture mysterious light-telling officer." Social media exploded. Some claimed it was divine intervention. Others dismissed it as fake, a hoax to distract from scandal. Skeptics demanded forensic analysis. But those who had been there didn't need proof. They had seen the light with their own eyes, and something within them had irrevocably changed. Officer Jimenez, the youngest, couldn't shake the memory. He replayed the moment in his mind, the sound of rose, the inexplicable peace that filled the room, the way time itself seemed to stop. That night, he drove to St. Gabriel's church and knelt before the statue of the Virgin Mary in the courtyard. He didn't say a word. He just wept. Inside the station, Father Miguel remained in the interrogation room, still officially under arrest. But no one dared to question him anymore, not out of fear, but reverence. A soft light from the morning sun spilled through the blind, landing on his folded hand. He looked up and said quietly, almost to himself, "Fate doesn't begin when we understand. It began when we stop pretending that we do." Outside, the desert wind blew warm and gentle, carrying with it the faint scent of rose once more, if heaven wasn't finished yet. For 2 days, the story of the Arizona miracle dominated every headline. News truck lined the streets outside the San Gabriel Police Department. Reporter begged for interview. Priest arrived from neighboring towns, and skeptic decried it a mere superstition. But inside the station, behind the din of noise and camera, there was silence. A deep, almost holy silence. Because something fundamental had shifted among the men who served there. Officer Daniel Reeves had been released from the hospital that morning. He still looked weak, the color slowly returning to his cheek. But there was a calm in his eyes no one had ever seen before. The same man who once barked order now spoke in a whisper. When he walked back into the station, every officer stood up, not out of protocol, but out of profound respect. He went straight to the room where Father Miguel sat. The door closed behind them. For a moment, neither man spoke a word. The priest's face was tired, but peaceful. Reeves took a deep breath, his voice shaking. "Father," he began, "I came here to apologize, but it's not enough." Miguel looked at him gently. "Tell me what is in your heart." Reeves sank into the chair opposite him. "I grew up hating men like you," he confessed. "Mexican, Catholic. I blamed your people for everything wrong in this town, drug, violence, border trouble. I thought if I could catch one of you, I'd finally be right." His eyes filled with tears. "When he saw those bags in your truck, he didn't even question it. He wanted it to be true." Father Miguel nodded slowly. "Hatred blind us more than darkness," he said. "But forgiveness opens the eyes." Reeves bowed his head, unable to speak. Then, almost whispering, he uttered words no one expected to hear inside a police interrogation room, "Father, I need to confess. The priest hesitated for a moment, then removed his rosary from his wrist. He made the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, tell me your son, my son. And right there, in the very room where Edeon's been interrogated, a priest heard a confession that would change every man in that building. Through the thin glass window, several officers paused outside, head bowed, listening to the murmur of repentance. Reeves spoke for nearly 10 minutes. He confessed his hatred, his prejudice, his pride. He confessed the dark joy he once felt seeing others fall. And when he finally said, I'm sorry, his whole body shook. Father Miguel raised his hand slowly. God has already forgiven you, he said softly. Now you must forgive yourself. For a long moment, Reeves simply wept, the kind of tears that come when a soul finally breaks open. The priest placed his hand over Reeves' heart. In the eyes of heaven, he said, You are no longer the man who arrested me. You are the man who was set free. When Reeves left the room, the hallway was silent. Every officer there had tears in their eyes. Some didn't know why, only that something pure had just passed among them. And outside, through the window of that small town station, the statue of the Virgin Mary on St. Gabriel's front lawn caught the light of the setting sun, UT's face glowing softly as if smiling. The town of St. Gabriel woke up different that week. People spoke softly, treated each other kinder. Even the air felt lighter, as if the desert itself had been washed clean by grass. But inside the county office, investigators worked tirelessly. Something about the case simply didn't add up. The drugs found in Father Miguel's truck were professionally sealed, labeled, and packaged too perfectly. This was not the work of a local priest, but of a cartel. Detective Laura Hernandez, recently assigned from Tucson, took over the case. She was sharp, skeptical, and determined to unearth the truth. Her first question to the officer was simple: who had access to the truck before the arrest? Officer Jimenez raised his hand. Father Miguel parked at a gas station off Highway 19 that morning. He went inside for 5 minutes. Laura nodded. Let's pull the footage. Hours later, they gathered around a small monitor in the evidence room. The grainy video showed Miguel's old pickup pulling up at the gas station. He stepped out, smiled at the cashier, and went inside to buy bottled water. 30 seconds later, a man in a dark hoodie walked up from another vehicle, scanned his surrounding, and opened the priest's truck bed. He bent down, pulled something from his jacket, a small black bag, and shoved it under the box of canned food. Then he walked away, calm and casual, disappearing onto the desert road. Everyone in the room froze. The silence was deafening. That's Sorgi, Laura whispered. She zoomed in. The license plate of the stranger's vehicle was blurry, but traceable. It belonged to a van registered in Nogales, a border town infamous for drug traffic. By afternoon, federal agents had confirmed it. The same van had been spotted in 2 cartel investigations earlier that year. When Father Miguel heard the news, he didn't smile. He just lowered his head and said softly, May God forgive him. Officer Reeves clenched his fist. Forgive him? He almost destroyed your life. Miguel looked at him gently. If he don't forgive, then the miracle loses its meaning. Reeves said nothing. He just nodded slowly, finally understanding. The following day, the county issued a full exoneration. The charge against Father Miguel were dropped. Every local news channel carried the update: priest cleared in drug case after surveillance video reveal real smuggled. The townspeople flooded back to St. Gabriel's church that Sunday. The pews were overflowing. People stood outside under the shade of mesquite trees, clutching rosary. When Father Miguel walked up to the altar, the congregation rose and applauded, not out of triumph, but out of profound reverence. He raised his hand for silence. My brothers and sisters, he said softly, truth was not defended by lawyers or by strength. It was revealed by grace. Never lose faith, even when the world calls you guilty. A woman openly cried in the back. En Allman crossed himself, and as a Schwar began to sing en Ave Maria, sunlight poured through the stained glass window, casting a golden beam directly onto the small statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe near the altar. No one could deny it anymore. Heaven had intervened, not to punish, but to heal. By Monday morning, the story of Father Miguel Alvarez had crossed every border, not just between Arizona and Mexico, but into every corner of the country. News encore spoke his name on live television. Talk show debated whether miracles still existed in the modern world. The hashtag Arizona Miracle trended for 3 days straight. Clip of the surveillance footage the fin blue light, the shimmering figure played on every network. Some stations blurred the image, dimming it sensitive religious content. Other replayed it endlessly, asking the same question over and over, did the Virgin Mary appear in a police station? In Phoenix, a panel of scientists analyzed the video frame by frame. They found no evidence of tampering, no glare, no camera reflection, no dust, nothing. One professor at Arizona State University, visibly nervous, told a reporter, if this is a hoax, it's the most sophisticated one I've ever seen. If it's not, then we're looking at something beyond explanation. Meanwhile, hundreds of people began visiting St. Gabriel's Church in San Gabriel. They came from every direction, Catholic, Protestant, even atheist. Some brought flowers. Others just knelt quietly in the desert sun. Officer Reeves came every morning. Et no longer wore his uniform. He sat in the back pew, hat in hand, head bowed. He never said much, but some time stayed for hours. The church became a place of healing. People lined up not for confession, but for silence, to sit where heaven had touched earth. But not everyone believed. Across the internet, skeptics mocked the event. They called it manipulation, coincidence, camera trick. They said the priest had staged it to escape conviction. Father Miguel never responded. He refused all interview, declined every TV appearance. When a journalist asked why he stayed silent, he simply said, "Faith doesn't defend itself with word. It's in by love." A week later, something extraordinary happened. A man from Nogales, the same border town where the smuggler's van had been traced, showed up at St. Gabriel's after mass. He was trembling, sunburned, holding a small rosary. When Father Miguel approached, the man fell to his knees. He was the one who put the drug in your truck, he sobbed. He saw the video. He saw her. He can't sleep. He can't live like this anymore. The congregation gasped. Some wanted to call the police, but Miguel knelt down and looked the man in the eyes. "My son," he said softly. "You've already begun your sentence. In your heart. Come with me." They went inside the confessional together. When they emerged, the man was shaking but peaceful, and no one ever saw him again. The next morning, a bouquet of white roses was found on the step of the church. No note, no name, just a ribbon with the word, Gracia, Madre. Month passed. The desert it gave way to autumn wind, and the headline slowly faded, "All miracle do when the world move on." But for Officer Daniel Reeves, nothing would ever be the same again. He resigned from the police force quietly, without ceremony. He returned his badge, his gun, his uniform. When his captain asked why, he simply said, "He can't arrest people anymore when he don't even understand what mercy means." He moved to a small trailer just outside town, near the cotton fields. Every morning before sunrise, he drove to St. Gabriel's Church. He they sit in the back pew, the same spot where he once watched the priest he arrested standing en cuff. Sometimes Father Miguel would see him there and know gently, saying nothing. Reeves would stay for morning mass, his lips moving silently through the prayer he was still learning. He carried with him a single item, the rosary Father Miguel had placed in his hand the night he came back to life. It was simple, wooden, worn smooth from use. He kept it wrapped around his wrist like a constant reminder that heaven had touched him once and left an indelible mark. Neighbor began to notice the change. The man who once barked order now greeted stranger with warmth. He visited the sick, brought food to migrant family, and spent evening volunteering at the church pantry. When people asked what had transformed him, he always answered the same way, he may forgiveness, and it looked like a man in handcuffs praying for me. One evening, he was invited to speak at a youth retreat organized by the parish. At first, he refused. I'm not a preacher, he said, but Father Miguel insisted. Just tell them what you saw. That night, standing before a crowd of high school students in the Candlelight Chapel, Reeves told his story, the arrest, the collapse, the light, the Song of Rose. He paused often, his voice trembling. Some of the kids cried, others sat in stunned silence. When he finished, he looked towards the crucifix above the altar. He used to think miracles were for saints and full, he said. Now we know they're for broken men, men like me. Afterward, he walked outside into the cool night air. The desert was quiet. He looked up at the sky, endless, dark, and filled with stars. And for a moment, he thought he saw something move across the horizon, a soft glow, like a blue veil caught in the wind. He smiled. I see you, mother, he whispered. The next morning, Reeves showed up at St. Gabriel's again, not an officer, not even a visitor, but a servant. He began sweeping the courtyard, cleaning the pews, helping Father Miguel prepare for mass. And when the bell rang, he stand by the door, greeting everyone with the same word every Sunday, welcome home. A year passed since the miracle in the St. Gabriel police station. The story had become legend, half whispered, half believed, but fully alive in the hearts of those who had witnessed it. What began as suspicion and fear had transformed into something else entirely. The town that once drew harsh lines between citizens and immigrants, between US and them, now gathered under the same roof every Sunday. Father Miguel called it the Church of Forgiveness. It wasn't a new building, it was still the same small adobe church, sun cracked and humble. But its spirit had changed. That spring, he organized a day of reconciliation. He invited everyone, police officers, farm workers, family who had crossed the border, even those who once mocked the miracle. To everyone's surprise, they came. Row of uniforms stood beside the weather dans a field labouré. Children ran between them, logging in both English and Spanish. For the first time in decades, no one cared which side of the border anyone was from. Officer Reeves stood near the front. No badge, no weapon, just a white shirt and the same rosary stitched around his wrist. When he saw Father Miguel approach the altar, he smiled faintly and bowed his head. Miguel began the mass in Spanish, then switched to English, his voice carrying softly through the desert breeze. My brothers and sisters, he said, forgiveness is not forgetting. It's remembering without hate. What happened here was not a punishment. It was a reminder that even HAS not abandon US. He turned towards the small statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe, now placed prominent near the altar. It was the same statue that had glowed the night of the miracle. Someone had framed a photo of the blue light from the surveillance footage and placed it beside her, a silent witness. When the choir began to sing Ave Maria, something beautiful happened. One by one, officers and immigrants stepped forward and embraced. No speech, no politic, just tears, smiles, and peace. An old man whispered, "This is what a miracle looks like. Not just light in the sky, but light in people." As the sun ended, Father Miguel lifted the chalice high. The reflection of sunlight through the stained glass landed on the face of the crowd, officers, mothers, children, turning them gold. And for a brief, perfect moment, everyone looked the same. After the mass, people lingered outside, talking, logging, sharing food. Reeves helped serve drink with the children, logging when they speed. The Song of Rose drifted again through the air, soft and unmistakable. Late that evening, as the sun dipped behind the desert hills, Father Miguel stood alone in the courtyard, the sky burning orange and pink. He looked towards the horizon and whispered, "Gracia, Madre. You've turned a prison into a church." And somewhere, perhaps in the wind, perhaps only in his heart, a woman s gentle voice seem to answer, my son, that is what I came for. They say time heal everything. But in San Gabriel, it wasn't a time that healed. It was grass. Today, if you visit that small desert town on the Arizona border, you'll still find St. Gabriel's church standing quietly against the heat. The adobe walls are cracked. The paint is faded. But every stone seems to remember. People still come, not to chase the line, but to pray. Truck drivers stop on their way north. Family bring their children to touch the statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And every now and then, someone says they smell rose in the air, even when no flowers are around. Father Miguel still celebrate mass each morning, his voice gentle, his eyes tired but bright. He never talk about what happened that night in the police station. He just pray for mercy, for peace, for anyone who has ever been misunderstood. And Officer Daniel Reeves, he still sit in the back pew, head bowed, and folded around that same wooden rosary. Some when the light from the stained glass falls across his face, you can almost see the reflection of blue, the same color that ons filled that police station when heaven came down to earth. No one in St. Gabriel calls it the miracle anymore. They call it the night everything changed. Because for them, the greatest miracle wasn't the light that appeared. It was the hatred that disappeared. And maybe that is what the Virgin Mary came to show, that even in the hardest place, grass can still bloom like rose in the desert. So if this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it, to let someone else know that miracle still happen quietly, humbly, when love wins over fear. Like this video, leave a prayer in the comments, and subscribe to Touched by Grace Our Faith, Forgiveness, and Miracle Still Walk Among Us Today.